This channel's pretty fucking new, isn't it? It's not been around long. Those of you who know me, who watch this, probably know a bit about my story, but many of you on there have not a clue, and you're wondering, how the hell am I living this life? How did I get here where I'm traveling the world, doing all these cool things? So I thought I'd do a brief video just outlining exactly that and every dip along the journey, because it's not been smooth sailing. It's been an absolute shitstorm, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think all those difficult things I kind of went through made me into the man I am today. And just like anything, if you pray for God to be strong, He's going to give you hard times. It's the same in your life right now. If you are going through shit, or you just feel like things aren't going great, you have a choice. You either view it as you're a victim to life, nothing changes, the same cycle carries on, or you think, no, this is actually how I'm going to become a better person. What skills can I learn? How can I develop my character? And that in turn will put you in the best position to get the most out of life. So let's just rewind 2 years ago. Got into corporate 2 years ago. I was working in the recruitment industry. Like so many guys out there, you live for the weekend. And it started off as fun. I would go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday with my mates, go for a few beers. I was typically the one who tended to drink a lot more, but equally no one would have looked at me and said, oh, he's a raging alcoholic. Like, I was just living pretty much a normal life that a lot of guys in corporate, in London, in the UK, and all over the world do. And over time, it started to get worse. Now, don't get me wrong, I was never one of those guys sitting outside the shops begging for money, drinking vodka raw. But what I did notice over time is, as I went out more and more and got deeper into the corporate culture, alcohol became more and more of a problem. And it wasn't just alcohol, it was other things as well. It became a cycle. And I mean, now looking back on it, I think probably one of the biggest things is I just hated the job I was doing. Recruitment wasn't for me. I felt like I was just chained to a desk doing something I didn't enjoy. So alcohol just became great. It's a good way I can unwind. I can just forget about hating my life. And it just almost became a bit of a coping mechanism. It sounds sad to say, I was just bored without it. I thought life was going to be awful without alcohol. So I need this just to make life a bit more fun. And that carried on for a good long time. And it got worse and worse. Not just in terms of the drinking, like I was still functioning, nothing horrific. But over time I was drinking more and more. The amounts I was drinking was more and more. And I was having these days where I'd just wake up the next day thinking, what the hell have I done? Who have I texted? And it started to impact a lot of areas in my life. But equally, I didn't want to admit to myself it was becoming a problem. Because like most men, the whole way I got into corporate is by being strong-headed, being ambitious. You don't want to admit you ever have a problem, do you? And I think part of the fact was, once you're functioning, you're still going to work, you're still getting up. So in your head, you never think it's bad enough to address. Then it started to get to a breaking point where things really went downhill. I was doing a lot of drugs. I was constantly drinking. It was affecting all the relationships of the people I was with, people I truly cared about, and I just ended up hurting them, upsetting them, just being a genuinely horrible person to be around. And when I look back on that time now, it is sad to think some of those people are let down, but then equally, no one's perfect as they're growing up. I could start to feel things were getting impacted in work, with my fitness, with my finances. It got to a real low, and I had never had that level of low in my life up to that point. So what did I do? I said, right, I've had enough of this stuff. I'm going to finally get free of all of this. I had no clue how, but I was determined. So I looked into Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Alcohol. I started reading and reading, looking into all this self-improvement. I dived into the gym. I poured my heart and soul into that. And at the same time, this was a period of isolation. All my old friendship groups, none of those people I could hang around with because they were all at the pub. So I was very isolated, but I was making the most of it. And through Easy Way, I managed to get 7 months sober. That 7 months was a typical sort of lock-in the sense that I was doing all the right things, but I had never fixed the root cause of why I was drinking in the first place. So whilst these 7 months were great, I still had in the back of my mind, damn, what if I'm missing out on something? All my friends are going out and I'm just stuck living not a bad life. The finances started to improve, but equally I felt like I was missing out on something. Around this time is when I launched an Instagram page, which was meant to help young guys get free from addiction as well. I was making all these cool little videos. If anything, it was helping take my mind off the sesh life, but it gained no traction. I was getting no views. I had this picture in my mind, it was going to blow up. I knew nothing about the info space. I knew nothing about business, but I just knew in the back of my mind, I genuinely wanted to help people. And despite only getting minimal views, making no money whatsoever from that, I managed to help some guys get free. And that was really rewarding. That was the first time in my life where I thought, damn, what I'm doing actually has some value. I feel like I've got some sort of person. This person who was struggling so much before, after having interactions with me, they're a bit better. And if I can do just a little bit of that, that gave me massive purpose. And that made me feel a million times better than what small level of income or corporate success I'd seen up till that point. But the story didn't end there. Of course, as things do, because I was just relying on willpower and I had never addressed the root issue of why I was drinking in the first place, eventually willpower is finite, isn't it? And when it ran out spectacularly. I had a few drinks on my birthday. It turned into a 4-week bender. I ended up crashing my car. It was one of the worst periods in my life where I just genuinely hurted everyone around me emotionally, pushed people away. I just was in a deep, dark place. And that was pretty much just because I had never dealt with the issues of why I was drinking in the first place. And I'd had this massive build-up over the previous 7 months where I thought, I would love to have a drink, What if I'm missing out on this? And it's like a pressure cooker building up over time. And finally, when it did explode, that was way worse than if I had just kept drinking a little bit on each weekend. And I know a lot of you might not relate on that scale, but you 100% can relate to taking a few weeks off and then you come back harder than ever than if you hadn't been drinking in the first place. And that happens when you don't deal with the root cause of why you're drinking. And that was a pretty horrific time, but it did come to an end. After 4 weeks, look around, think, what the hell has my life become? Pick up the pieces, piece by piece, of what was left. And I had a really, really deep reflection. This was a sobering moment, but not sobering in the sense of alcohol, sobering in the sense of mind and soul. Of genuinely being fed up with that shit, fed up with that life, and not knowing how to get free or what to do. And after that was a real turning point in my journey. And I built a framework based on everything I had learned that had worked, what doesn't work, the gaps that were missing, and I built a system which is the only thing that has kept me free till this day. And this was tested. A few months after that, after I got, I think it was 3 months sober, my granddad passed away. And for me, he was my everything. Like when I was growing up, I didn't really have much of a father figure. I had a single mum. The weight of everything was on her shoulders. So I never really had a father figure until my granddad. And he was just the most patient man in the world. Even despite all the shit I did growing up, he was always there for me, and more importantly, he believed in what I was capable of. And he passed away in early January, and I had a lot of things in the past where, because of the drinking, because of the drugs, I'd been a shit person, I felt loads of guilt, I didn't spend more time with him, he didn't get to see me do all these good things in life. So that was 100% where I felt tested, and part of my mind, of course, had the flash, shall I go back to drinking? But the framework I had built was so strong that I had no desire whatsoever to drink. And that was the first moment in my life where I truly felt in control and empowered of my future. And I kept sober through all of that, through all of the grief. I gave a really heartfelt, raw, emotional, from the chest speech at his funeral. And I stuck to every single word in that sense. And I know he's up there looking down at what I'm doing now, and his judgment, he wasn't wrong to believe in me. And after that testing point, something clicked in my brain. I knew 100%, if I can get through that, I can get through anything. And the fundamental life I had built didn't involve anything to do with alcohol. I was having all levels of enjoyment, discipline. I was doing so much with my life, and I had no urge whatsoever to drink. And this is where the momentum starts to build, because you're not drinking over the weekends. You've got more time, you've got more ambition. Jumped into a new corporate role. This was paying a lot more. This was in a different industry. On paper, all my friends saw, oh, he's getting awards. He's going to these cool client dinners. They all knew I was still sober. They thought, wow, this guy has his life figured out. And fair enough, I had nothing to moan about. I was on good money. I was living a good life. I could go on holiday 4 times a year. But at the same time, there was a lack of fulfillment in what I was doing. I was getting to work every day and thinking, damn, is this really what life has come to? I can't genuinely live the life I want. It becomes like a trap, because they pay you just enough for you to give up on your dreams, but that eats away at you more, because you know you're capable of more, you know you want to do more, yet you're stuck living that kind of existence. So I managed to build up some good finances during this period. Life was going well, but I still had this gradual pressure building in the back of my mind. But this time it wasn't for alcohol. It was because I knew I wanted a different life. And because I was completely sober, I had to live in that pain. I had to truly feel it. And feeling that pain, feeling that discomfort in life is what gives you the motivation to change things. And if I had just been numbing things every weekend, with that level of money, I probably would have said, screw it. I'll carry on doing that. I'll climb the ladder. But because I was fully clear-minded, I could see the bigger picture. I took a massive gamble. I invested 7.5K into a mentorship to learn a high income skill, which I had no idea if it was going to work or not. But I knew taking that risk, but I knew every shot you don't take, you're going to miss. And I knew if I got to 60 years old, I'd climb the corporate ladder, and I knew I'd never tried, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. And that was one of the biggest things that paid off. My back was against the wall. I was working 9 to 5 in the corporate role, 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. my time on this high income skill, mastering sales, mastering the info space, and most importantly, mastering myself. And this grinding went on for a couple months. I was doing both things, and I managed to hit 12K a month part-time. The money was great, but more importantly, the mindset had shifted. I had seen behind the curtain. I knew, damn, I'm no longer trapped in this cage. I finally have a way to get free. And that was the most liberating feeling ever. If I was still going to the pub every weekend with my mates, I would have never got in that position. And I believe the universe only gives you things when you're ready for it. But you have to take those opportunities. And if you know you're leaving potential on the table with drinking, you've got to realize how much that costs you in the long run. So then we finally did it. Back against the wall, said fuck it, quit the 9 to 5, went 100% all in on my business. Since then, we've scaled up to kind of 16K a month, traveling the world. We've seen all sorts of different places. If you guys have been following the Instagram or seeing stuff like that, you know I've been traveling a long time. But that life has only been possible because I had a level of pain with my given situation that it forced me to change. Now, don't get me wrong, the money's good. Traveling the world is great. But what that was missing was purpose. That same purpose I had when I was earning fuck all, but I was helping guys with that Instagram page, was lacking. So what I've done since then is build the NEP Quit method, which essentially is what I wish I had. When I was on your side of the table, knowing how much alcohol was costing me, not knowing how the hell to fix it, it combines all the good things which I was missing and all the bad things to avoid, and puts it into a system that you can actually follow, not some bloody guru nonsense which doesn't help, or like some of those self-help books which sell you the world but do nothing. This is a genuine system that I put my heart and soul into, and I know it works. This is the same system that has kept me free. And that brings us to now. Like, I'm in a position, realistically, I don't need to be doing this for money. We're in a villa right now in Vietnam. We're going to be traveling constantly. Life is good, and I'm grateful every single day for that. I wouldn't be able to live this life if I wasn't sober. But I want to build something that helps you. If that means making no money for a period, so be it. If I even help one single person out there who is struggling with drinking, who knows they're leaving money on the table, they've almost got a superficial barrier on top. Everyone from the outside thinks, oh, that guy has it figured it out. He's got a good job. Things look good on paper. But deep down, you know something is missing. You know how much alcohol is affecting. And I can help you break that and see what life can be like on the other side. Then my job is done. If this resonates with you at all, and you don't know where the hell to start, click the link down below and let's just have a chat, man to man. If you do nothing, the result's guaranteed. The same cycle carries on. And if I've learned anything in life, it's life rewards action. Action with intention. Book in a call below and know you've been the kind of man to take action to change things.